how much we spent in fuel in the state of Utah. So now let's calculate our gallons. So we always take the gallons here, 1.90. So that's going to actually be 91 points. Since it's a 5, we're going to round it up to 91.91. Okay, so many gallons, 86, 94 gallons. So now when I run my report for all the states for the third quarter, I'm going to make sure that my diesel amount of 1778.37 matches my report, as well as my gallons of 344.56 gallons. And now we'll move on to the next state. That was Utah. And I have all my receipts separated by state and in order by date. So this is the state of Nevada. So remember, when you're calculating your diesel, you're not including the DEF because you don't report DEF. So when you get your totals from your receipts, you don't take the bottom number because that includes what you paid for DEF. And so nowhere in your report, when you're filing your IFTA taxes, is it going to ask for the gallons of DEF. You're only going to take that number of diesel, right? So just remember, never include your DEF. So now I have my receipts, and I'm verifying the receipts to the report before I print out my report. I can easily print it out, but it's a waste of paper and ink. And so what I did, I have my stack that checked out on my gallons that matched my report, and then the stack that did not match the gallons to my report. So I'm working on the state of Montana, and my gallons didn't match out. So this is what I have for my gallons, 353.09. And so then what I'll do is go from receipt to receipt and see where the mistake is at. And right off the bat, I caught it. So this receipt here is 23.82 gallons. And I noticed we have a duplicate receipt in there. So it looks like he entered it twice, thinking, oh, I must have forgot that I entered it, or I didn't enter it. And so he entered it twice. So then what I'll do in this case is I'll click on this one, because I know it's already a duplicate receipt, and I'll just show you guys on my motive. So my gallons is 353.09, and then you'll see here for the state of Montana, 353.09. So now my gallons match, check, and then I can move on. And so I do this because when I go and enter this information into my filing for my IFTA for the third quarter, I need my gallons to match. Because it can be a simple mistake that the drivers can do in, entering a receipt. For example, they can enter, here it says 23.820, and he can enter into his ELD, he can do 26.82 or vice versa. And I do the same with my total that we spent for fuel. I do that as well. You don't use that when you file your IFTA taxes. You just need the miles, which is here, your distance and your gallons. And as you can see, I still have quite a few receipts that I need to check discrepancies on. And it's a simple mistake, entering a wrong number, entering it into the wrong state, the wrong date. And this is where you have to go receipt by receipt to figure out where the mistake is at and correct it, so you can balance when it's time to run your report, when it's time to file your IFTA taxes with the state that you're in. I want to share another simple mistake that happens quite often. So you see on the receipt, it says the total price of diesel for 95 gallons was $510. And when the driver uploads a receipt and enters all the information, he put in 210 with 31 cents. Now, these mistakes happen often, and this is where balancing of the receipts to what the report is very important, that you guys take that extra step and make sure you're balancing your cash flow and your gallons, because it happens. Mistakes like this happen. So this is where you have to cross-reference what's on your receipt, and then when you're ready to print your reports, if it's not balancing, you have to go into that state and receipt by receipt to figure out where that mistake or error is at and get it fixed. So this one's an easy fix. As you guys will see, I have a report for every state. Why do I do that? It's a little extra tedious, is, you know, so this is for the state of Utah. It'll have the jurisdiction, the vehicle, diesel, gallons, the cost, you know. So if ever I get audit from a certain state and they want me to show them records of, you know, the third quarter, instead of having it all together, I like to break it down by state. So it'll be just easy for me to reference back to. You know, if ever they're questioning anything, I can just go back to, you know, Utah, Oregon. It's a few sheets that I have to print out. You know, you can, in Motive, you have the option of combining it. I like it individually separated, just in case if they were to ever ask for anything, I can just go to that. I have all my receipts balanced from receipt on hand to the report. So it'll show me how many miles we ran for that third quarter, my total fuel in gallons. And so everything matches, you know, state fuel. This is what we ran in, you know, miles wise. So this is what I'm going to use for my report when filing my taxes. Now, what I do next, I'm going to enter this information into an Excel sheet with the gallons of how much it cost me per state, and I'll show you that in just a moment. And it should all balance out to everything that I need when I get ready to file my IFTA taxes. It just makes it so much easier, and I actually have that. So this is pretty much what the Excel sheet looks like. So it's got my miles, gallons, and price. Once I enter all my information, this is just for me, makes it easier to file my IFTA. It'll give me a total calculation down here on the bottom. And so everything should balance on here to what I have on my report when, you know, transferring all that information. Now, you don't have to do this. I do this as a double check on my work, you know, my receipts to my report, and then what I'm going to input here to then file on my state website for my IFTA taxes for the third quarter. After a lot of discrepancies, now we didn't have too many discrepancies this quarter. So all my entries have been entered for every state. So this is going to be the miles, gallons, and what we paid in fuel for that state for the third quarter. So it's 31,111 miles. My report shows 31,111 miles. Now that 0.6 is going to be rounded, so it won't do anything. And so my total gallons in fuel was 3,744. My report on Motive shows 3,774. So all my gallons for my receipts balanced. And this is how much we spent in fuel, 19,448, which balanced to all the receipts on hand, 19,448.20. So we are good to file our IFTA taxes. So this is pretty much what that looks like. I'm already into my account. I'm going to go to IFTA, file and maintain my IFTA. And then we're going to file for the third quarter because it shows not filed. So I'm going to go ahead and hit file. And then we're going to go ahead and enter all our information from my Excel sheet that I have here. And let's see what we owe for the third quarter. Okay, so we are done with our third quarter, and it is a little expensive, but you'll see here my miles, my balance on my miles, 31,111 with 3,774 gallons of diesel. And so our total is 483.3, but it's only because California, and I rather pay on my IFTA than at the pump. So we ran 6,903 miles in California, but we only put in 838 gallons. So if we would have done more gallons, this number here, of course, would have dropped. So of course in California we owe 483. So everything kind of washes itself out, but because we didn't put much fuel in California, we have to pay at the time of doing our IFTA. And I'd rather pay at IFTA than to have to pay at the pump. I'd rather not pay the $7 a gallon, times that by, you know, truck tank plus our fuel transfer tank. No, thank you. I rather pay here. And this is probably one of the highest months 438.03, but it is what it is. So this is what my third quarter of my IFTA filing is. It's $438.03. Yeah, let's stay out of California.